Well, look at that. We got part of it going live and all of it's not going live, but that's okay. I'm Ed Parco, one of the hosts of, and this I'm with Amy T. Meyer, the other host of. Yeah, it looks like LinkedIn's having an issue today. Oh, well. Everybody else will be able to see us, right? Hey, I want to thank you for showing up today and doing everything you do here at Helping the Brave. They're Amy T. Meyer. I really appreciate it. So, have
Thank
anything
you.
before I keep?
Yeah, thank you as well for inviting me to be a part of the show. Always.
No, I was forced into it. Steve told me I had to. Anyway, so our guest today, I'll bring him on in a second. I met him through the fact that we have a lot of veterans running for office here in Stanislaus County. And that's where I'm out of in California, which I always say I want, I don't care what party you're in, Democrat or Republican, whatever, as long as you're a veteran, we'll all get it done because we all care. And so I met him through this thing, found out he was a veteran, found out he actually had a Purple Heart. There's a bunch of stuff he'll talk about, and I want to bring him in. You're good with that there, Amy? You ready to get going? All right, let's bring Jack in. Hey, Jack, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
I can't be better. How are you, Amy? You good?
I'm good. So tell us, Jack, all about you.
Ooh, that's a lot.
That's a long one.
Yeah, where would you start?
Let's start with why. Okay, service you picked, why you picked it, and what did you do in it? There's your three.
Okay, so service I picked was Army, and the reason why I picked Army was because out of three grandfather figures ahead in my life, I loved all the stories coming from the Army, and I loved that they had an engineering department, and so I picked 12 Bravo, which is combat engineer, and got a little signing bonus and just rolled with it.
Yeah. So Jack's one of those guys you really got to get him to talk.
So what years did you serve then?
So 08 to January of 2008 till September of 2011.
Where were you stationed? What did you do?
I was first stationed at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri to go through basic training in AIT. And then I was stationed.
Huh? Lovely place.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely lost. We used to have a joke that said, do you know why Missouri's the show me state? Because if we don't show you, you wouldn't find it. But then I went to Fort Hood, Texas, where I was stationed with 1st Infantry Division on a deployment to Afghanistan in the Nangarhar Province. And I was injured there March of 2009 with an IED strike. And then I was in and out, and I was supposed to be, when I woke up, I thought I'd be in Germany, and I actually woke up in Qatar. And I guess my brain started to swell, and whenever they came in to do my Purple Heart ceremony, General Schlosser with the 101st was just like, get him on the next plane. I don't care where it goes. He needs more than what we have here. So I woke up in another country with a blanket and an ID card, no clothes, no nothing. And I didn't even, when they opened the door and I saw the customs agent, I was like, wrong country.
And how long were you in this wrong country?
30 days. What they did was they went through a bunch of evaluations. I had some swelling that needed to go down, and I was taking tests, cognitive tests. And if I didn't pass the cognitive test, then they would have had to send me back to the States. So
but you passed them?
Yeah. Well, so the first two I did not, but the first two were 24 hours and then 48 hours. But then when I was in Qatar, they didn't give me one for about a week. And then I passed one weekly for 3 weeks to go back to my fob. And that was an argument. I had to get a major involved. They wanted to still send me home. And I told them, listen, I may be injured, but I can do tower guard. I can do something. I can take from one of the other soldiers having to do so much.
Wow. Because most people say, let's send me home.
Yeah, most do.
Yeah, most do. All right. So when did you? So you got out? Was it because? Did you get out because of the injury that you sustained, or was it just?
Yes. So I had 23 injuries, and through a 19-month med board, they accepted 16 of them through the VA, and the Army accepted 3 of them that disqualified me from further service. So full
So-
retirement, 29 years old, sitting on your couch, now home, still waking up and wondering where your rifle went at the end of your bed type, you know.
'Cause you're still having issues and still dealing with stuff. Because I mean, you just went from knowing your purpose, now you're back home, and you don't know your purpose. How? I mean, what did you go through with all? Because a lot of times you talk about the transition story. Yours was you just are now home, right?
Yeah, a lot of it was I did biofeedback to help find what my triggers were, and there because I would just panic. It would just be full adrenaline rush for no reason, and over time I found out that it really wasn't a trigger. It was just I needed to control myself. My body was reacting, and so I would have to calm myself down. I would have to ground myself, and that was kind of the hardest thing for me to learn was to recontrol emotion, recontrol panic attacks, adrenaline rushes. And so it got easy. You find something in the room, you count to 10. I mean, there was all kinds of different things. Mostly whenever I panicked, I would just like go for a walk, and I had a really nice neighborhood that was nice and quiet. And it took about 2 years before I actually started feeling the differences that, like, hey, I can make it through this. And if I can make it through this, I know others that I can help make it through this too.
So was this all through the VA, or was it basically yourself getting these services? Like, how did that work out?
So basically what happened was I went to the VA for help. They kept trying to put me on meds. It took me about 8 months to get off 15 medications that the VA had me on. And, 11 of them are killing my liver and kidneys. And it just wasn't beneficial. All the psych meds they put me on weren't beneficial. It actually took me out of the equation. And it didn't, I spent too much time in a fog. I wasn't able to fix myself. So 2011 and 2012 were dedicated to learning about myself a little bit better and courses of action to right myself. Having an traumatic brain injury as well as PTSD also kind of stunted my mental growth. I actually had to start using PMA, positive mental attitude, on a daily affirmation, just letting myself know that I'm supposed to be here. There's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why the blast never broke through the hull. Survivor's guilt kind of got to me a little bit. I always wondered why me, it would have been so easy, just to be up and over, and to come back from all those injuries really, really kind of messed with who I thought I was. And when I started messing with who I thought I was, I lost everything of what I was. So kind of like basic training, I had to build myself back up to the person that I felt would be beneficial to my children.
Okay. But you did this all on your own versus with any help, or
So
was there any nonprofits that helped you?
Yeah. So 2011, 2012 was by myself. I was ashamed to talk to anyone about what I was feeling. And then I didn't even go to counseling for PTSD or TBI. I actually started going to counseling for preventative maintenance and divorce counseling. I kind of figured I had a divorce on the horizon, and I just wanted to set it off and make sure that I was covering my bases of who Jack needs to be in that time. And so I went to the vet center, and the vet center put me through an amazing program. I actually ended up doing 2 years instead of the 6 meetings that I was initially started at. And that's when I started to realize that there's more to what I needed to do than what I had found. And then I didn't really have nonprofits help me. I didn't really reach out to any nonprofits before I started my own. And when I did start my own, the vet center was very positive. And in fact, there was a caseworker there named Monica Reyes, that she's the one when I started the nonprofit and was like, oh, hey, I'm here. Can I do something? She's like, go away. And so she gave me basically a schedule of all these different meetings of all these groups. And that's where I started meeting the other nonprofits, and then the Cal Vet directors and all the people in the VA that I should have met and that I should have known about when I got home.
I mean, I want to go back to what you just talked about, because you help other vets. I know that you take calls for suicide prevention, all that kind of stuff. How can you get other vets to open up when you didn't in the first place? Right. I mean, because you didn't, nobody wants to ask for help. That's one of our biggest problems, is just a veteran in general, whether or not you have an issue, but in general, you don't ask for help. You just think you should have to go it alone. And we always say, when you're in the field, you always call for air support. So what's the problem? So how can you get people to understand that they need to ask for help and get the help that they need?
Basically just telling them, the sooner you open your mouth, the sooner you get to the positive side. Let's just say you have a 6-month battle ahead of you and you know it. Well, get started on it now. Get the 6-month battle over. Go to counseling and just talk. Doesn't have to be about your service. Doesn't have to be, just get to the point where you're opening up. You can even just call a friend and say, you know what? I really want you to be the person that I tell, but this is what I've been going through. Start somewhere. You can even call a hotline. I mean, you can call the crisis line. The VA crisis line really just kind of puts you on the phone with other people. But just getting out there, I understand that you think that you need to do this by yourself and that, your chain of command is not going to hear you. We're not in the service anymore. People will listen to us. It's not, Sergeant so-and-so says, pipe down or you'll be sent to health and welfare. Make your voice heard. What are you feeling? Tell us.
I think that's where it gets uncomfortable for a lot of people, is they don't necessarily, they don't feel prepared to even voice their feelings or deal with all the implications,
Yeah, and it's gotten to the point where since I started doing suicide prevention, I'm meeting people on like the worst day of their life. Someone that just had their kids taken away in court because they had PTSD or TBI used against them, or someone that's just, home with mom and dad can't handle it anymore. So they called someone else in. So they're in a pretty bad day. Let us meet you on a good day. That's all I can ask you to do. Let us meet you on a day where you're not having such a bad day, but you can kind of explain what's going on. And you don't have to tell me a story. You can just say that my heart rate elevates and I feel pressure in my head. I mean, start with something.
I wish we could talk like our grandkids. Like, I don't know if you've ever done like a FaceTime and they just walk around with the phone. And it's because I think for some veterans, it's almost needing that, like to not be talking about anything in order to actually build the relationship up to where eventually you could talk about the real things.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that was a statement, not a question, huh, Amy?
Sorry. Yeah.
You're supposed to ask open-end questions, not closed-end statements. Just messing with Amy. She does a lot of nonprofit work, by the way. She finally got rid of the work nonprofit-holic or whatever it used to be on her name. So so what you went through, you're looking back and you started a nonprofit to help veterans, right?
Yes.
And you want to talk about that a little bit more about what you were doing so people know, because we can always get into, that you're running for candidacy next, but let's just talk about this right now.
So whenever I started my nonprofit, I was looking for basically anything to stop the 22 veterans committing suicide a day. It was really just starting to break my heart. And I figured, okay, I'm at a point now where I've already gone through my biggest fears. Let's start walking people through their fears. And so when I was doing research, I found out that 3 veterans a day actually were committing suicide off the fact they were having their kids wrongfully taken away from them. And as soon as the court system told them they had, this long process to get their kids back, they lost hope. And I said, okay, well, at least I know the family court system and I know criminal court. Let's start with suicide prevention. So I became an active hero at activeheroes.org. I took a QPR class, which is question, persuade, and refer. And that gives you kind of a good standing on trigger signs, signs to notice someone who is going down that path. And it's basically a program that's like, we're not like, oh, I can't believe you just said that to me. It's more of a, what did you just say? Say it again. It's more of a direct. Tell me you just told me that you want to hurt yourself. Let's elaborate on that. It wasn't like letting them shy away and go like, oh, you said that thing in front of me, but go home and, we'll just kind of forget. No. What did you say? Why did you say it? And let's focus on this. And then I would put them on the phone with the suicide hotline if I couldn't, fix that situation right there in the moment. I've driven people to Palo Alto VA that day and, took them in for evaluation, sat there for a couple hours, and then, hey, they accepted them into a program. Okay, great. Have a great day. It was more about what is it that I'm going to do to actually step in and stop this. And this wasn't about like me getting in the community and everyone like, hey, look at what Jack's doing. It was more of a, what can I do for them to get them to realize that I'm not here for that. I'm here for them. I'm here for us. And that we need to move forward as a group. If you need help, I'm here to help. If you don't need help, I'm here to talk. I don't go anywhere. So starting the nonprofit, I made sure that I covered my bases. And then I have a really good friend that, we were the same age. We went to different schools and stuff, but he's a marriage and family counselor. And he was actually an instructor for Biola University and had his own practices. And this guy would be like, hey, have you heard of EMDR? Have you heard of this? Have you heard of that? And then me and him would elaborate on some things. And he was very straight up with telling me, I will do whatever it takes for you to help your community. But at no time am I going to be your therapist. We need a boundary, and the boundary is help. And it's like, wow, thank you. That's amazing. And I just started rolling from there. And then, of course, the nonprofit started doing other things as well. We don't just help with court matters anymore. Veterans court or family court. We also help out with other nonprofits, assisting their missions. We do homeless veterans retreats. Stanislaus County Veterans Employment Committee got a lot of assistance from us and would do the stand downs, the homeless veteran stand downs, which, even in that, we learned a huge story. And thank you to Sheriff Dirksey for this. He gave us his schoolyard for 2 years. And then Store Bus Lines, thank you, Store Bus Lines. They gave us free buses to bring Stanislaus County veterans to this facility to have these stand downs. But the problem that we found was you have buses bringing us to the sheriff's department. So no one got on the buses for 2 years. So we had to learn, we moved to the Mancini Bowl over there, Crusader Park.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I know where that is. Amy has no idea where that is. She's not from this area. She doesn't even know where Palo Alto is. So she was lost on that whole 2 hours from here. So.
Yeah, that was a 2-hour drive. But it's just a really nice park in the middle of Modesto that pretty much everyone knows, and they have concert in the parks in. And then we got a substantial homeless veteran turnout. But everything was about progress and coming together. And a lot of these groups literally just got the uptick started and then COVID hit. So a lot of us had to go back into jam mode.
I agree. We had stand downs up here in Washington State and the same thing. We were just really getting traction and then COVID hit. Sorry, Ed.
No. I just had a thought about the homeless veterans, right? Are they, because I know a lot of veterans not veterans, a lot of homeless people don't want help, right? There's a huge percentage of them. Are veterans, is it the same way for the homeless veterans? Are they looking to get off the street, or is it, pretty much the same?
So, and this is where a couple of years ago, I really got upset because Stanislaus County sent some people out to go count the homeless. And they were trying to say that we had a minimal amount of homeless and then even a more minimal amount of homeless veterans. So I told myself, and I started over by Gallo, that there were some homeless veterans living by the river there. And I probably met 200 more homeless veterans than the county counted. And 80% of them are like, this is where I'm at and this is where I'm comfortable. And I really just, you know what I mean? If I had a tent half and a pillow and good company, that's where my life is right now. And so I was kind of think like, how do you help people like that? And I had a friend who was my driver for several missions. And I was talking to him and he said that he literally went out. He lives in Washington. Well, no, he just moved with a girlfriend, but he was living up in Washington and he went out into the forest. And he said that that was the best sleep that he had gotten in years. And I was like, okay, well, maybe there's something about, being a naturalist. And so I just talked to these veterans and like, well, what do you want? A lot of them really just want to be left alone and off to the side. There are some that do have drug problems and stay closer to, methadone clinics and stuff like that. I'm sure there's a better way to help them than continue that process. But a lot of the homeless veterans I have found are either actively searching for programs to help them get off the streets, or 100% perfectly fine with being off somewhere where they don't think that people are going to bug them or law enforcement's going to find them to kick them out of the area. They just want to stay somewhere for once.
We have some medium things up here that we're working on, like tiny homes at different veteran sites so that it's kind of the best of both worlds. They're in a place where they can get to access for services, but if they're okay, that's almost like the end result. Mm-hmm. So then it's just having enough spaces open for veterans. I feel female veterans, I read a statistic that said female veterans are twice as likely as their civilian counterpart to experience homelessness. But in our state, they will not consider a female veteran homeless if she's couch surfing or even possibly living in her car. And so if you have all these, and I think that might go more into politics of what count is correct and what count is not. So there's what the VA has eyes on, and then what we kind of extrapolate as the closer to real number, and then those solutions are different. And I just think there are just nature of the beast, women versus men.
And here around Stanislaus County, there are, homeless female veterans. There was a pack actually right outside of Keys of veterans, and there were 2 female homeless veterans. And I'll tell you what, those 2 female veterans ran that group. They were in charge. And I was just like, you know what, girls, you go and get it. If this is what you want, and those guys are, they're like, yeah, they put up our tents and we make them dig the holes. And it's like, all right, cool. It made me feel like having conversation with them. It honestly made me feel like we could be on a forward operating base in the middle of the night and just shooting it. Everything felt, the language was a little bit rougher and sharper on the edges, but you knew exactly what they were saying and you knew exactly how they felt, and they just really didn't want to be messed with. One of the things I actually do is I carry backpacks with me pretty much all the time that have, toilet paper, socks, deodorant, sanitary supplies, Some crafts. I know a lot of people aren't into it, but some people donate, crossword puzzles and Sudoku and stuff. And that's how I open it up to them. Hey, man, if all I could do is give you this backpack and know nothing more about you other than you're willing to accept this, that's great. And some people snag it and other people want to have a conversation. And I think that it's a minimal price to pay to start that conversation.
Do you think a lot of the homeless people have PTSD and that's why they feel more comfortable outside?
100%. Unchecked as well. And they know it is. I've had many people admit to me I should be on medications. I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. But this is the only way I'm able to deal with it without creating a problem for my family or more for myself. And I'm just trying to stay out of jail. And it's like,
Wow.
how can you blame them?
So basically, what I'm hearing is we need, if we could help them, it would be with their PTSD to help them move forward. And some of them just don't want to be helped. They just want to be left alone.
Right? Yeah. Or a lot of them. And I tell them, hey, I feel you all the time. You just have to find a different road like I did. A lot of them tell me the same stories that, I told you that I went into the VA and the VA's like, here's meds. A lot of these people, I mean, they're not wanting meds. I've seen people doing heroin that didn't even want opioids from the VA, but they got them. Then they got hooked on them, and then they got them taken away. And you can cold turkey someone off of opiates, but you're going to give them methadone for 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't make sense. So these people go to the street value of the same type of drug, and it just ruins their lives. Ruins their path. I've seen people that I'm very proud of for coming off of the streets. I've seen people that have woke up and burnt down trailers with their dog and said, I need to provide a better life for just my dog, if not myself. The most minimal things one day will spark someone to change. I just hope that I help them get on that road quicker than later. And I would rather listen to their story than read their obituary.
Wow. Jack, that's amazing what you do. I appreciate it. And a lot of people don't know you're also running for, here, making us even now, so you don't feel like you're so much in the spotlight. But you're running for a candidacy, so you're going to be in the spotlight.
Yes, sir. And
I'm probably sorry I work for a living. So
yes, I forgot. Can I call you Seaman then?
Oh, I really like you, Jack.
Yeah, as long as you spell it right.
That's a good one.
All right, so let's talk about your candidacy while you're running. We don't have a lot of time. We try to keep these right at 30 minutes because that's the whole model of the thing. So
basically, I started a candidacy to go after Josh Harder. I wanted to go for the old Congress District 10. Josh Harder has left our area, and with redistricting, it has allowed me to reopen and readjust. So I'm running for State Senate District 4, which as of right now is the largest district by land mass in the state of California. And basically, I'm running because I am tired of everyone that shook my hand, smiled in my face, told me that my veterans were going to get help and left us in the wind every single time. And for the ones that were kind of stringing you along, they would say, hey, well, let's bring in so-and-so because that's more their area of what they do. And we can work together. And if we work together, we can get more done. Well, nothing got done. I've had awards from both Denham and Harder's office for my work in the community. I've worked a lot of cases for the congressional office, my nonprofits, pretty much on call 24/7. And I just want to bring that type of representation to state Senate. I think that we need a senator that's willing to call people out for non-assistance and for dragging their feet for real help. I also think that we need someone that's willing to stand up and say, enough is enough. Where's my money going? Why is it going there? And where's the help?
Nothing better than that.
And I try to keep it under. I'm watching the
I
time.
saw that. I saw you're watching the time. Okay. Anyway, I appreciate Jack you coming on today, and it was really nice to get to know you over the past. Had him on the radio, had him on a live for Real Estate Jerky, and I'm like, you have to come on Helping the Brave to talk about your stuff and what you went through. And I really appreciate you coming on. Please help us share the word to other people to have them come on and talk about their story, what they're doing, and to move forward. That's what we want. That we just want to connect people, so we know how to help homeless vets, right? Because we don't know how to do it. Everybody thinks everybody's the same. We're not. Everybody's different, and and so that's why we're here. Amy, anything you want to say before we go?
Thank you, Jack, also for your time today, and for everyone else, just follow us if you like what you hear, and definitely reach out if you have veterans that can share their story, or if one of the nonprofits that we talk about resonates with you and you want to know how to get connected. So
you can reach out to us at info@helpingthebrave.com. Jack, is there anything you need for your nonprofit help-wise, or any supplies, anything before we go?
So right now, not really much of anything because of the slowdown. But I do want to say that protecting soldiers' rights is not only just for Stanislaus County. We work cases all around the U.S., and we've also helped soldiers in war zones. That if you don't think you can go to your chain of command, come to me. If you think that you need more than what you're getting, come to me.
How do they get to you?
ProtectingSoldiersRights.org. There's a contact section, and I have my phone numbers live on there. My legal clerk is on there. You can send him a promptu email of your situation. If you're looking directly for his information, it's there as well. And then I'm on activeheroes.org on the map for the middle of California.
All right. Sounds great. Again, thank you so much for being here today, Jack. Thank you, Amy. And I want to thank everybody for watching. And if you're watching this afterwards, just let us know by doing #replay. And if you're Jack's age, that's the number sign. And have a great day.